Y'all, we're making oatmeal. Come on. Welcome to Highfalutin Low Carb, the almost weekly web series where we find and test the best low carb recipes this crazy internet has to offer. Today, we're tackling low carb keto oatmeal. Stay tuned. All right, guys, call it porridge, call it oatmeal, call it notemeal, whatever you want to call it. Today, we're testing out a couple of different recipes for keto and low carb versions. Fall is upon us. Mornings are getting a little bit chilly, and it's time for something other than just scrambled eggs and bacon for breakfast. And I certainly miss oatmeal, and I bet a lot of you people do as well. There was a time when I used to say I was addicted to oatmeal, but I realize now I was probably addicted to the sugar and the toppings that went on top of the oatmeal that added about 70 carbs a day to my tally. So today we're going to be tackling all of those issues. One of those recipes is just a traditional cooked oatmeal, notemeal. It's got some interesting ingredients that are going to be subbing out for the oats that we obviously can't use on a low carb or keto diet. Our second version is something that I haven't had in decades and have had a few times in my life and really loved, and that is baked oatmeal. It's popular in some parts of the United States, so we're going to do a baked oatmeal version as well. So our first recipe will be that baked oatmeal. We're going to start with that one, and this is by our friend Carolyn over at All Day I Dream About Food, and this is her easy keto oatmeal recipe, and I'm going to leave all the links down here, you know the drill, on the screen and in the video description below. I didn't create these recipes. The people that did do the hard work, they deserve the traffic. So I'm going to leave links, and I'm going to ask you to please go visit them for all the exact ingredient amounts and recipe tips. Our second recipe, this is the one that's going to be cooking on the stove top, I guess you could say. This is by sweetashoney.co, and this is her hemp heart oatmeal, and that's one of our secret ingredients, the superfood of hemp seeds. We're going to be making an oatmeal out of that. But before we begin, I do need to thank BetterHelp for sponsoring this video. I've mentioned it in a few videos here on this channel in the past in relation to my current state of mental health at the time regarding food addiction and emotional eating and all of that stuff. And it wasn't until I started talk therapy that I sort of really got a hold of all of those feelings, and I hope you can sort of see some of the changes in my life through the end of that camera as you've followed me along in this journey, particularly in the last year. You may feel like something is holding you back, keeping you from reaching your goals, preventing happiness in your life. Regardless if you have a clinical mental health issue like anxiety or depression, situational anxiety or depression, or you're just a human that lives in the crazy planet Earth in the year 2023 and all of the chaos that entails, therapy with a trained professional can give you tools to approach life in a very different way. BetterHelp's mission is to make therapy more accessible and more affordable to everybody, and that's super important because finding a therapist is difficult sometimes, particularly if you're limited only in the options in your area. When I started seeking a therapist several years ago, I was put on a waiting list of 2 to 3 months from all of the therapists that were in my network. BetterHelp is a platform that makes finding a therapist easier because it's online and it's remote. And it's very easy to get matched with a therapist. You just fill out a few questionnaires, and within a few days, BetterHelp will match you with a therapist that will meet your needs. It's easy to get started. There's a link here on screen and in my video description. It's just betterhelp.com/highfalutin. Clicking that link helps support this channel, but it also gets you 10% off of BetterHelp for your first month so you can find a therapist that works for you. You may not click with the first therapist you meet. It happens to a lot of people, even whether you're working in person or remotely. BetterHelp will match you with another therapist free of charge without thinking about your insurance or who's in your network or anything like that. Visit the link in the video description or go to betterhelp.com/highfalutin. Thank you, BetterHelp, for sponsoring this video. It's sponsorships like yours that keep channels like mine on the air, and for that, I am truly appreciative. All right, let's go make some oatmeal. Come on. All right, guys, so let's get started on our first recipe. Again, this is the easy keto oatmeal recipe. This is by All Day I Dream About Food. Now, I've already got our oven preheated back there to 325 degrees Fahrenheit. I've got a quart casserole that I've already thrown some butter in and gotten that ready to go because we are going to bake this. But now we're going to start with a couple of our big major ingredients that create, quote, the oats, right? So we got to have something to mimic that texture and that size. The first of those is coconut flakes, unsweetened. This is not shredded coconut that is in long strands. This is shredded coconut that, see, it kind of looks a little oaty in and of itself. So that's going to go into a food processor. We need to get them just a little bit smaller. And then secondly is the sliced almonds, and these are thin sliced. I don't know if you can see that, super thin. They are not slivered almonds. Slivered almonds are going to be too thick for this, and it's going to feel, it's the wrong texture. So we're going to throw these in and then pulse this literally 4 or 5 times, she said. You're just trying to get them a little bit smaller and a little more appropriately sized for what we're doing. So let's do that now. Helps if you turn it on. Okay, that's pretty good. We still got some large pieces of the almond flour, of the almonds, but I don't want to make the coconut flakes any smaller. So, goodness. All right, so this is going to go in a large bowl, and then we're going to whisk together all of our dry ingredients. So to our coconut flakes and almond, sliced almonds, we're going to add some granulated brown sugar. This is the Swerve, is what I use. It's got the best brown sugar flavor of any of the brown sugar products that I've found. Sucrin also has some good ones. Secondly is collagen. This is collagen peptides. You cannot use gelatin. You cannot use protein powder, she said. You don't get the ooey gooiness that you really are looking for that only collagen truly provides. So collagen peptides, one of those. And lastly are our spices and sweeteners. This is going to be, that's a piece of coconut. This is cinnamon, salt, and baking powder. Gives it a little bit of rise. So let's whisk all this together, and to this we're going to add in our dry ingredients as soon as I get all this combined. I probably could have used a little bigger bowl because I'm about to bust it out of here. Hold on. Okay, so now is the time for our wet ingredients. This is going to be just 1 whole egg. I'm just going to give it a quick little beat to get it going before I start on it. And then also melted butter. This is unsalted melted butter. And lastly is a little bit of heavy cream. Goes in here. You can make this non-dairy by using coconut and coconut oil instead of the butter. So give this a mix. I will hit it with a whisk too. So mix all this up well. We've got our prepared 1-quart baking dish. We'll see if this is large enough. I hope so. And we pour this right in. And we're going to bake this until the center is still jiggly. How long did she say? 20 to 25 minutes this will take. And this is one recipe. She said you do not want to overbake. It does not come out well. You need that center to continue to be jiggly when you pull it out. So spread this out. Oh yeah, that's going to look pretty and look great on camera, if I do say so myself. All right, 20 to 25 minutes at 325. I'm going to get cleaned up. We're going to get started on our second recipe, and I'll see you right back here in just a bit. Okay, so our first recipe is almost about to come out of the oven. You'll hear the timer in just a moment. And we're about to start the second recipe. This is Hemp Heart Oatmeal by sweetashoney.co. And this is going to happen on the stovetop in a small saucepan, so I hope you can see in here. And so what we're going to do is start with the dry ingredients. Now again, I want to ask you to go to the link here or in the video description below. And I am going to mix all the dry ingredients, and I am doubling this recipe. The recipe is for 1 serving. Obviously want to make 2 so I can have 1 to take a picture of later, so I'm doubling everything. That's why everything might look a little larger than what you mentioned. These are our hemp seeds. You can call them hemp seeds, hemp hearts, whatever you want to call them. These are they. They're going to go into, so far we're not on heat yet. We're off heat. This is cool. We're going to add in shredded coconut. This is finely shredded and gives a texture that's similar to to oats and helps with that. Next, we have got flax meal. And if you are like me and have an aversion to the strong, fishy, weird scent of flax, I have found the way around that is to use golden flax meal and store it in the freezer. So that has worked out well for me. So I'm going to put that in here. And then we've got chia seeds. These are just black chia seeds. You can use the black ones or the white ones, whatever you got on hand. And this is our sweetener. She says use a crystallized erythritol. This is the same Swerve brown sugar. I think it's just fair to go ahead and use that. Okay, lastly is a little bit of cinnamon to this. So in that goes, wow, that was loud. In that goes, just mix all this together. And then now we're gonna add in our wet ingredients, and we need to do that with a whisk. We're gonna add in, first of all, vanilla extract, which I realize I forgot to put vanilla in my last recipe. It was called for maple or vanilla extract. I totally forgot it was sitting over here. I'll take that into account when we test it. But also I'm gonna be using like a maple a sugar-free syrup on top. So that will account for some of that. So I'm gonna add some vanilla. I'm just going to add it into my almond milk here just to make all that easier. So this is unsweetened almond milk. In that goes. And lastly, a little bit of almond butter, not much. This just gives you, I think, some of the creaminess that you need. It's just a little bit. You're not trying to make it taste like almond butter, but again, I think we need that. So, all right, I'm going to cook this on medium heat. Let's put it on some heat here. Medium heat. This is going to come to a boil. You want it kind of to simmer. And what does she say? She says, bring it to a boil over medium heat. Stir constantly with a wooden spoon until it forms bubbles on the side of the pan and it starts to thicken. Keep cooking and stirring it for 3 to 4 minutes until you reach your favorite texture. It's going to thicken up as more water evaporates. So I'm going to ditch my thing, switch to my wooden spoon, and I'm just going to speed this up so you don't have to watch it. In a moment my other recipe is going to come out and I'll grab it, but we're going to do this and then I'm going to let the other one recipe cool for 10 minutes. We'll meet you back here to go over macros, tastings, and my thoughts in just a moment. So I'll see you right back here. All right, guys, so we are back and ready to taste both of these recipes. The first one is here. It turned out beautifully. It's still a little warm. I'm going to put it here. That looks great, and I hope it's as delicious as it looks. In our second, I went ahead and put 1 serving. This is 1 serving of that here, and we'll add a few toppings to them. But before we taste, let's discuss the nutritional information. So for our first recipe, the baked oatmeal, this is easy keto oatmeal recipe by alldayidreamaboutfood.com. This makes 8 servings, and a serving is about 1/2 cup. To be honest with you, I probably would double that serving knowing me and how much I eat. So if you eat 1 serving of this, this has 307 calories. You've got 10.3 grams of protein. You've got 26.9 grams of fat. You've got 5.2 total carbs. Of that, 2.5 grams is fiber, so that leaves you with 2.7 grams of net carbs per serving for the first one. That's not bad. All right, our second recipe is the sweet as honey. Again, this was 2 servings. This is 1 serving. If you eat 1, this is hemp heart oatmeal. It is 494 calories, so a lot more calories than the other. You've got 40.6 grams of fat. You have got 23.2 grams of protein. You got 12.2 grams of carbs. 8 of those, 8.1 grams are fiber, so that's 4.1 grams of net carbs. So 2.7 per serving, 4.1, both under 5. That's pretty good. And you're going to add some toppings to these. So what do they taste like? That is the most important question. Let's taste them first without anything. I'm going to come over here to this side. And this is still rather warm. Oh gosh, it is soft, crunchy. That's beautiful, y'all. Okay. So, does it taste like oatmeal? I'm not going to set myself up. I've been around this block enough to know that this is not going to be, I don't think, exactly like oatmeal. There's no way. It often has a much thicker mouthfeel. But I'm going to stop jabbering and we're going to taste one of these. This is hot, I bet you, right here. Yes, sir. Remembering that there would have been maple or vanilla extract in here. Mm-hmm. Sweet and creamy, gooey. Definitely has the gooiness of oatmeal. Mm. Mm-hmm. Mm. Okay, that's very good. It's trying real hard to be oatmeal. And you're going to get a lot of jaw exercise on that because that's a lot of chewing. That coconut, those almonds, that is a lot of chewing. But wow, the flavor, I can imagine it with the maple or the vanilla extract in there. I'm telling you, that's the Swerve brown sugar is fantastic. And I can taste that molasses flavor with a little bit of cream on top and some berries. That is great. You're not going to give it to anybody and say, oh, I love this oatmeal. They're going to know it's a warm cereal. Let's call it that. Okay. So what does our second one look like? It's not as pretty, at least right off the out of the pot. It kind of has a very thick consistency. It thickened up quickly. I'll be very honest with you. It said 3 to 4 minutes and I only cooked this about 3. Chia, I love chia seeds. I love overnight chia pudding. I've got a recipe for it in my cookbook. If you want to check that out, leave a link to it up there. I wrote a cookbook one time. This is hot, but does it taste like oatmeal? Again, it'll have some other things on top of it. Still warm. Okay. The hemp part's not a problem. It's more gooey. It's slimy and not gooey. Does that make sense? The chia, super healthy. I love chia. That's too much in ratio to the other ingredients to me. I like gooey. I like creamy. I like unctuous. I don't like slimy. And that gives me sliminess. That's probably the flaxseed too. I don't taste the fishiness to it, but I wouldn't be able to eat that. I wouldn't eat that. Like if I were starving, yes. I'm far from starving. But I wouldn't eat that. I would need to doctor it up with the fruit and the syrup and the cream and the other things. So I'm ready to do look at here, watch this. I like a little bit of cream on mine. This is some Sucrin syrup, gold. I have tested this with my blood sugar. The original syrup did me wrong with the blood sugar, but this new one doesn't bother me. I'm not recommending it. I'm just telling you that's what I had in the cabinet. And throw in a little berry or two. And y'all, that looks, I would eat. Get on there. The butter. The butter. Whew. Okay. Carolyn, you did it again, girl. You good with that? Yeah, clearly you know which one I loved the most out of those. But if you have a favorite oatmeal, porridge, hot cereal, we're going to call it, recipe, be sure to leave a link down below. But yeah, oatmeal, can it be done? You're not going to call it oatmeal, but I'll call it warm cereal. So, all right, guys, thank you so much for joining me on this video. I say this all the time. These videos are a way for me to maintain my low carb way of eating, and looking in the end of that camera as often as I can helps keep me honest. So, so I appreciate that you have come along for the journey. I need you to ask a big favor. If you would, please like this video. Lets the YouTube algorithm know that this is a video that they can share with other people that others might like. If you're not a subscriber, hit that subscribe button, click that bell button. You'll know as soon as I release a new video. Also need to thank BetterHelp again for sponsoring this. If you're struggling, be sure to go to betterhelp.com/highfalutin and match with a therapist today. Lastly, my Patreon members. Thank you to them. Without them, none of this would be possible. They are my rock stars. You're going to see their names. I think they're over here scrolling. Don't know what Patreon is? Think of it as the tip jar for the internet. Lets people like you who enjoy what people like me do here on YouTube. You can give $1 or $2 a month just to sort of keep the train on the tracks, as it were. So, all right, guys, I love you very much. I will see you in the next video. And remember, today is a good day to have a good day. Bye-bye.